Hey, what's up guys? This is Timo here. Welcome back to another episode of playing Gemstone Legends. So today I'm going to be doing a video on Odile, and if you are subscribed to my channel, you'll see in my community post, I actually also posted a tentative schedule for which heroes I will be doing reviews for, a little bit of a schedule to look ahead. So if you're a subscriber, then you'll be able to see the community post. And if you're not, now's a perfect chance. Go and subscribe and you can take a look and see the content that's in there as well. So I'm going to be starting with Odile. That's a French name. I don't think I said it fully accurately, but it's as close as I could get. All right. And she's a warrior type that focuses on damage. And so what I want to do is I want to show you what she looks like, how she works in various different environments, and of course we're going to talk about sort of like what loadouts would work for her best. So we're going to start by taking a look at her skills real quick. It's relatively straightforward, and she isn't as hard to level up compared to some of the other legendary in that there's a total of 11 levels for her skills. Her special ability is all about just damaging single enemies while ignoring defense. There's 5 levels here. At level 1, she'll ignore 20% and she'll hit 3 times, each time dealing 145% of her attack value. If you max it out, then it jumps up to 40% defense that's ignored, and it attacks based on 160% of the attack. It might feel like it's not a big jump in the attack value, but that's because she's doing this attack 3 times, and also because she is going to have a nice buff from her passive ability, which we're going to talk about next. So she's going to give herself increased attack only at the beginning of the wave. So if you're in like an arena fight, then after 4 turns, that's going to go away. But she does give herself critical damage at the beginning of her turn. So as soon as she starts attacking on her turn, you'll be able to gain this benefit, which is really nice. But she also does have a increased her critical damage. Now, this one's a little bit different. It's that it changes depending on how many enemies you face. So if we take a look at level 1, it says that her critical damage is increased by 25%. But it minuses 5% for each present enemy. So if you look in a situation where she's up against 5 enemies, like let's say an arena, that 5 enemies is going to account for 25% of reduction of critical damage, which means it'll net out to 0. Okay, so no bonus when you face a team full of enemies, but then as you continue to defeat them and you whittle them down, then you start gaining 5% critical damage for your hero, and then you basically at level 1, when you go down to 1 enemy, you're going to have a 20% critical damage. At max level, she starts at 35% critical damage increase. So that means even in arena, she's still going to be able to net 10% critical damage boost. And it's only going to go up from there. So this makes her the best choice when you're going up against single enemies, such as a raid boss. But if you're using her in arena, the more enemies that are defeated, the higher her damage will be. Now, real quick, let's talk about just a little bit about her loadout, just to kind of see what is best for her. Because she's an attack-based type and she has a lot of boost to her critical damage already, you actually want to try and balance her attack to, I would say, somewhere around 6,000. Now, I have her at 4,700. She's not fully awakened just yet. I'm expecting her to be maybe somewhere in the 5,200 range once I'm complete. But I still want to give her more attack. So you see I'm using Crusher set here, where I'm using, attack for both the armor and also boots, and I have critical damage for her gloves. I actually think that Crusher set may not be necessary here, and the Berserker set might actually be a little bit better for her. So what I mean by that is if you take a look at the Berserker set, this gives you an additional 45% increase of attack. It does reduce the health, but that 45% increase in attack is going to be huge, especially for her, because she has all these passive critical damage boost already. So I think I can get way more damage out of her if I can switch that. So I would say if you have the sets, go for the Berserker first. You can also consider other sets such as I would say the Warrior set, or you can go also with the Brave set. So if you take a look at the Warrior set, it gives you 15% for every set you have. So if you're able to get all 3 sets using Warrior, that's an additional 45%. Or you can go with the Brave set, and that gives you also an additional 20% attack. while giving yourself a little bit of defense also. So these are all viable sets to use if you have them. If not, just focus on attack value while keeping your critical damage somewhere in the 150 range or so. And you do want your critical rate to be at least 85%. So what I'm going to do now is going to show you just her output in terms of damage in the various different environments so you can see for herself how her skill works. So now let's take a look at her in action in campaign. So you can see right now there's 4 enemies. So she has a total of 20% critical damage decrease, but she does give herself passively critical damage. Remember, her ability right now increases by 28%. So she actually has an 8% increase in her critical damage. So you can see right now her critical damage is at 248. Now let's take a look at what happens when we actually go ahead and defeat an opponent. So 16,200. If you look at her stats again, you can see that it's gone up by 5%, right? So we do expect a 5% increase in her critical damage, but because her actual attack value is relatively lower, you can see her stats again. So right now her attack is at 7,000. It's not going to go up by a significant amount. So 5% of the, her attack. And so we were at 16,200. Now we go up against the bat. We gain an additional 300 per attack. But because there's 3 attacks, you can see that there is a total of about 1,500 damage output difference just by reducing the number of enemies down to 2. Okay, and so that's how her skill works in campaign. And let's take a look at see how it works in arena, and then finally against a raid boss. All right, so actually as the time of this recording, arena has just reset, and so I can't actually show you any arena fights right now, but I'm going to show you how Odile works against a raid boss, as she does best against single enemy anyway. And so I can just want to show you, up against a 6-star level 5 boss, Odile was able to deal about 1.3 million damage. This is without any stars on her, and at the time she actually wasn't really boosted yet in terms of her skills. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you now what she can do. I'm using her as the leader because she does give herself and the whole team critical damage boost as well, and so it just gives her more damage output. And so I'm just going to show you her damage potential and also what you can do to make her deal more damage. So again, she does give herself increased attack, which is nice. And so if we were to just go ahead and deal damage against, without anything, we'll take a look at her stats first, right? 263, this is her passive boost to her ability. Plus, she does give herself 28% increased damage and then -5. So she also gives herself 20% additional critical damage. And so she's able to deal without any other debuff, 6,300 against the boss here. But then if we were to go ahead and try and do defense down and also vulnerability, and then we did the same thing again, then you'll see she actually then jumps up to 14,500, close to 45,000 per hit. Now this is without any relics. Let's take a look and see what we can do to improve her damage based on relic equipments. We'll start by taking a look at when you equip her with a level 1 faint relic, which is one of the earliest ones that we've gotten, and there's a repeat since then. Gives you an increase by 10%. It goes up to 20% at level 5. So again, just to attack up without any other boost. Her attack value does go up a little bit, 6,700. And if we were to go ahead and now hopefully land both this defense decreased and also vulnerability, and then we go ahead and try this again, now we can see how much damage it can go up to. So now we had an increase of 1,000 actually per hit, and so now it goes up to 15.5 thousand. And so just by adding the single relic, we were able to increase our attack a little bit. Now let's go ahead and take a look and see some of the other relics and what the skill output looks like. Now let's take a look with Hero's Fury, level 2, so 14% increase and increases damage dealt by additional 19%. So again, without any additional bonus, 8,000 for just, the flat attack. And then with debuff applied to the boss, now we jump up to 18.2 thousand. And finally, now we're going to show her with Golden Cyclone, which is going to be one of the best relics for her to use. Increases attack by 20% and increases damage based on the number of debuffs as well as positive stats on her. And so just at the beginning, Again, this is about 8,800, slightly higher, but her real bonus comes from the following. So first, we want to make sure that we apply a negative stats on the boss, and then we're going to go ahead and give ourselves some additional positive stats. And then if I were to give herself now, increased critical damage as well. I actually didn't show you with the critical damage, but you can see we're going to be able to boost her damage by quite a bit here. And we're going to go ahead and now see what her almost maximum damage output is, because we don't have all the negative stats on yet. But against the red boss, this is what we can expect to accomplish. And so 25,000, and we can still go higher. We still have 8 stacks of negative stats to put on the boss and 2 stacks. So let's take a look and see what the maximum potential damage with how I've loaded her would be like. All right, so what we're going to do here is just kind of show you the difference with everything else being the same, but the boss having a full stack of negative stats. And now if we were to go ahead and deal damage, earlier we saw she was dealing about 25.5 or so. And now you can see that her damage goes up to 28.4. And so it gets closer to, 90,000 per hit, which is really good. And she's still not fully maxed out yet and not fully awakened. So she really will be able to do really well against your single boss, and your damage output is going to vary depending on which relics you put on. I highly recommend putting on any relic you can that gives her increased attack or increased critical damage. If you can apply sort of, the recommendations I gave for how to equip her, I think you'll be able to do well in all situations against any opponents that you come across. I think she's going to be a good damage dealer for sure, and good arsenal for your team. So hopefully this helps you make a decision on how to equip her and how to use her more effectively. That's going to be it for me for this video. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now.